This is take 4 of me trying to make this density calculation video for you, so hopefully it works this time. All right, so density is one of the things that when we do it in class, it's actually really simple, but it's one of the measurements that people have the hardest time understanding how to calculate. So in order to do that, I'm just going to show you a couple things first. I have to do a volume, and then we'll go into the density calculation. So one of the super cool things about the metric system is what I like to call the holy trinity of the metric system. And that's because the metric system has this great unifying factor between mass, length, and volume. And what that is that for water, 1 gram of water takes up 1 milliliter of volume. And if you were to measure it, it would be 1 cubic centimeter. So again, that is our unifying factor between mass, volume, and length. So write this down somewhere. Anyway, so this is what makes the metric system so cool. We can't convert easily between mass, volume, and length like this, like you can in the metric system. So yeah, I don't know why we still use the imperial system. All right, anyway, okay. So now that you know that, when you did your volume calculations in your exercise, you should have measured your stuff or converted your stuff to centimeter measurements. So you should have you should have taken the length, depth, and height of an item, multiplied those together, and because they were each in centimeters, when you multiply centimeter by centimeter by centimeter, you should have ended up with your number in centimeters cubed. So, for example, I took a box of Jell-O. I found it to be 2.5 by 7.15 by 6.3 centimeters. So when I multiplied all of those together, I got the volume of the box of Jell-O as being 112.61 centimeters cubed. Okay. All right. So that would be our volume. So when you go to do your density calculations, you'll notice that density is reported in grams per milliliter. That is the standard unit of measurement for density. So, but your volume is in cubic centimeters, and we want you to get it to milliliters. So how do you do that? So again, because of our little trick earlier where we know that 1 mil of space is the same thing as 1 cubic centimeter or 1 cc of space, it's a 1-to-1 ratio, right? So we can actually just convert this into milliliters. I'm going to show you the math. You don't have to do the math. You can just say, okay, this equals milliliters, so it's 112.61 milliliters. That's volume. But again, mathematically, we would take this number. This is a really terrible eraser, you guys. I'm sorry. We would take this number. We would use a conversion factor where we say for every 1 mil is 1 cubic centimeter. These would cancel, and then you'd end up with 112.61 milliliters. So again, I don't need to see those calculations. That's fine because it's a 1-to-1. So as long as we have the calculations for your initial volume calculation, and then as long as you get the density, then we're fine. Okay, all right, so that's how we got the volume part of our density. So we've taken care of that. Okay, so that means we still need to find the grams of our object. So we have grams and mils. So if I were to weigh this box of Jell-O, I would find that it weighed 85 grams. Okay, so now we have 85 grams, again, grams per mil. So we have 85 grams, and then in terms of space, takes up 112.61 mils of space. Okay, so there we are. We're in grams per mil. This is still not correct though. Once you have this number, you still need to actually divide 85 by 112.61. So you need to reduce that number to get a better density or get the most simple density. So if you plug that into your calculator, 85 divided by 112.61, you would find that this had a density of 0.75 grams per mil. So this would actually be our answer. Okay, one thing that I want you to notice about my calculations is that in my calculations, I've included units. not only in the calculation, but also in the answer. So make sure you're doing that when you type your math out on your worksheet to get full points. So yeah, a lot of people, this is the two things that trip people up is they don't understand how to get mils from cubic centimeters. So again, it's a 1-to-1. You just convert it straight over. And then you weigh your stuff to get your grams. You put those two numbers together and you reduce it through division to get your density answer. So part of the worksheet asks, would it float? So remember what I told you earlier? The density of water would be 1 gram per mil. This is lighter than that. Okay, this is less dense than water. So would it float in water or would it sink in water? It would float, right? Because of the density. That being said, a box of Jello would be saturated by water and it would sink. But if we were to wrap saran wrap around it, toss it into a pool, it should float. So, okay, so that's how you determine density and that's how you determine how it floats. So, okay, hopefully that's helpful for you guys.